To iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio. iLive Radio.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage Desire at iLive Radio. And I have my guest today, which is Stacy, aka Destiny. Is it Destiny or Stacy? Which one is your real name? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Stacy?
Well, definitely online. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
How's the connection?
We're good. Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So definitely Savvy online, but my friends and my family and people know me as my real name is Stacey Savory.
All right,
so excited. Thank you, Donna, for having me.
Thank you for coming. So tonight,
I'm in happy hour.
It's okay. Enjoy your drink, my girl. Enjoy your drink. So tonight we're talking about endometriosis and the walk and the story that Destiny has been talking and walking with for the past 30 plus years. Destiny's also the author of a book called The Perfect Storm. And I just found out that she's also a contestant in a pageant. Yay! True West Indian. I always have on the go. So Destiny, thank you. So thank you. So thank you for joining me tonight. And I know you had a crazy weekend with Valentine and everything, so I really appreciate that. Okay, so before we dive in, for those who's not quite sure what endometriosis is, so what it is the lining of the tissue. Normally, women or anybody have the lining of the tissue inside, but with endometriosis, the lining of the tissue is not inside the ovary; it's outside, and the hormones or the parts that being affected is your ovary, your fallopian tubes, and your pelvis, which cause crazy pain, right? So before we get into anything, just Destiny, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we can just dive in because I have so much questions for you.
Right. So, yeah, like you said, endometriosis is something like, again, it could only be diagnosed in a sense of by surgery, lab. Like some doctors, some people may be able to identify what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've been misdiagnosed for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because again, as you can see, I look perfectly normal in a sense. It's definitely considered an invisible disease,
Mm-hmm.
right? And chronic illness. And so it's something where I suffer with chronic pain, not only pelvic pain, but like pain in my joints, pain, like literally pain everywhere. And yeah, there's so much, it's so complicated because there's different stages and different, like for example, for a person with stage 1 or stage 1 endometriosis may not have, may have severe. And where I have discovered that I'm stage 4 endometriosis. Basically, at that stage, I cannot do anything more for you, right? And then some people like me who have stage 4 may not have a lot of pain. But yeah, so as I had a really, when I said I had a really good life before all that, I was married.
Okay, so before we jump into that, because I have a whole bunch of questions in regards to that, because I read your book, and I'm going to be throwing some things at you, right? So, anyways, I was reading something today, and this is how one person described the pain, the stage 4 endometriosis. She says it's like someone is stabbing you in your vagina with a knife while another knife is moving through your uterus and your ovaries. That's how much the pain is, right? So I can't even imagine that kind of excruciating pain. And to be honest, before meeting you, I wasn't even aware of endometriosis. And the thing is, we keep hearing people talking about fibroids and the pain with fibroids and all of this about fibroids, but you never hear the stage up, which is endometriosis, and that's what you have. Correct? Yes. Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So they discovered it as multiple fibroids for me. That kept growing and growing. And I don't know if you know, but I know I've heard a lot from a lot of other Black women, especially working in women's health. I'm working at a women's health center downtown Toronto. When I was doing outreach, a lot of women would come and pull me inside. They'd be like, "Do you have any information on fibroids or cysts or anything?" I'm like, all while I was going through the same thing. And the question is, why is it that especially Black women, Caribbean women, women of color, are being pushed off as, all women have that. All women, all African American women, all Canadian women, all women who identify as Black or Caribbean, it's a common thing for fibroids. Mine's grew and it grew and it grew. I would faint. I would go probably, I would be in the hospital at least between 7 to 10 times a year.
Okay,
I would faint. And I would have to get iron intravenous in my arm, plus I would have to get multiple blood transfusions.
Is it because it's a new thing? Because yes, fibroids has been around for a very long time, and people are constantly talking about fibroids and cysts and your ovaries and all of that, but it wasn't correlated because it's years after they diagnosed you as having endometriosis, because the doctors themselves didn't know what it was, correct? Yes?
Right. Okay. So again, it could mask. It's such a devious disease. Like literally, it could mask as other things. It could mask as irritable bowel syndrome. It could mask as some people may just say, oh, you have again fibroids, cysts, bleeding, whatever. It's just masking the other thing unless doctors connect the dots. And it's actually at one point they thought I had ovarian cancer, and it ended up in oncology in the hospital.
Stacy.
When the lady, I just happened to be on my cycle that day, and when she actually pushed her hand in me, a whole bunch of stuff just came out. She's like, you know what, you need to go to emergency right away. I think you have endometriosis.
Stacy, the connection is bad.
Have endometriosis. So it took about 10 years for one woman to identify, said, you know what, you need to go right away.
Stacy, the signal is bad. I don't know if she's gone or not. I'm not quite sure if she's hearing me or anything right now. So until she comes back, let's just talk a little bit about the whole endometriosis. I did my homework on it, and it's a painful, I don't want to call it a disease because it's not, but a painful, she's gone. Hopefully she called us back in. So it's a painful condition that some women go through. We always talk about fibroids and heavy bleeding and the whole 9 yards, but a lot of times it just stops there. And it's not being researched to go further, right? So women suffer with this all the time, and I know they correlate fibroids to colored people, African descent, West Indian descent, and saying all these different reasons. If you don't, it's the way you perm your hair, or the food you eat, or it could be scarring. So let me see. I don't know what happened. So just give me a second. Let me just respond to her. Sign on again. Okay, so I don't know what happened. I think our internet is kind of wanky. So in the interim, let's just continue talking about it. So they have these different cause and effect why people are having endometriosis. So basically, it's just like even for fibroids. Sometimes they say it's on the lining of your ovary. It could be outside. It causes heavy bleeding, a lot of pain. And in meeting Destiny, I've seen her journey. And her journey, because these are things that we're not talking about. And the fact that she is actually coming out and speaking about the pain and what she went through and how it started. She wrote a book called The Perfect Storm, which I'm really interested in. And I have a bunch of questions for her to ask to see what's going on in her book and how the journey started. So basically, I can. That's what I wanted to talk to her about, because her story, like everybody else, has a story to how things start to where they are and why they do things, and the choices that we make. You know. Let me see what's going on. Patrick, Patrick, are you there? Can you hear me? Is she in the queue? So I'm sorry about that. So I'm not quite sure what's going on right now in terms of Destiny. I'm trying to on my phone. I did. Anyways, so in terms of where we are and going, I read her book and she talked about her childhood and the guilt and the shame because of who she was and what's going on. And it's just a journey that so many women are going through. So I'm really happy that she is definitely talking about it. Uh, uh, this is so full. This is so crazy. Every time I'm supposed to have my show, it's always internet issues. This is just crazy. We will need to start after, hopefully after this COVID is done, we can have people start coming into the studio versus calling, because the internet definitely can be wonky at times, especially with this weather. Um, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what's going on. Anyways, until we figure it out, and hopefully she can pop back on. Wow. Okay. So I don't know what's going on with Destiny. So I maybe would have to go figure something out for another time. But I really want her story to be told because she has an amazing story, and this is something that we need to talk about and to discuss as women, and the struggles that we're going through. It's just crazy that the pain and uncomfortability that we always go through and don't have anyone to talk to. Okay, she's back on, I think. Can you hear me,
I'm
Stacey?
back.
You're back?
Yes.
Oh God, I
Yeah.
don't know what the heck going on. I didn't want to lose you because I don't want to start talking about your story without you being here, because honestly, we need to
Right.
dive deep in. And before this happened again, Stacey, I took some stuff out of your book. I hope you don't mind that I'm going to be talking to
No
you
problem.
about. Okay.
No problem.
I knew you said this is as West Indian, we know how our parents are, that we really can talk to our parents when it comes to certain things, or we choose not to, based on how they act. And I know you were going through your issues, and you talk about the when you got your period, that your grandparents basically said you're turned woman now, you're a woman now because you're having your period, right? But you couldn't speak to them more than that. Talk to your girlfriend because of the whole pain, and they suggested birth control. Yes.
Mm.
So how did that journey of going to the doctors and asking for birth control, how was that for you?
Very, very scary. Again, I didn't them days I lived in the suburbs in Tobacco, and then the only place you can get those things where you go downtown to this extra health clinic. And I remember going after school, high school with a friend. She's like, "Okay, don't worry, don't worry. I'll get it for you because it's like you're doing this forbidden hidden thing, right? Again, because you're putting yourself on birth control. My mother didn't know I left school after school, and I was scared. I was like, but again, I basically did just ask what my symptoms were, what I needed it for, And then they gave it to me.
Oh, okay, okay. You're also brought up into the church, and you made a comment about when you were going through your journey, and I know you got married rather young as well,
Yeah.
and you made a comment about um, Jezebel spirit.
Hmm.
What is a Jezebel spirit?
Okay. Well, a Jezebel spirit, they say in the Bible, it talks about like someone who is cunning and controlling and manipulative, using her power and whatever her influence to get what she basically get what she wants, right? And so it's unfortunate that again, my diagnosis would be considered something as people can say related to the Bible, called the woman with the issue of blood, right? So in terms of, again, I've had a lot of labels and things put on me, and it's a shame that one pastor actually said that the reason why I couldn't get pregnant is because of my sexual past before my ex-husband, and that I had some sort of a Jezebel spirit that I need to be cleansed and delivered from that. And after I get cleansed and delivered, then therefore I shall get pregnant. And that wasn't in the case. I had endometriosis.
Okay. So I know you mentioned in the book as well that you're saying that the things that's in your closet, and you wrote it for a reason. So I'm going to bring them certain things up, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at one point, at a very young age, you were pregnant, yes,
Yeah.
by an older man, and you had an abortion.
Yeah.
So
A forced
a
abortion.
forced abortion, right? So my thing is, and also reading about the whole endometriosis, right? Sometimes scarring can put onset of endo, right? Do you think that would be a possibility? Because it's after that point, because you did get pregnant at one point, it's after that point that you started to develop all these severe pains.
Right. So in terms of the question, what are you trying to pinpoint?
So
What are
my,
you
my,
trying
my
to
no,
say?
so did you investigate that though? Would scarring be an issue? Why you started to have the endometriosis? Because it can be it could pass down from family, and it can also be scarring of the tissue or the ovaries or the pelvis. So I'm asking if you did
Right.
investigate all of that before with a
Um,
doctor.
yes. So in terms for me, um, because scarring is one issue, yes, but it's something I have something. What endometriosis, it creates lesions, right? So lesions stick on to, like, they stick on to your ovary, stick on. So that, yes, that has developed over the years, and
Mm-hmm.
that's developed from the scarring, right? So yes, but also a lot of people don't know that endometriosis is also hereditary. So
Mm-hmm.
if your mother, your grandmother, somebody in your family had it, it can be passed on to the next generation. So
Really?
it's for me, someone
Mm-hmm.
in my family had it, and therefore I know that I got it too.
Wow. So do you still want children?
I mean,
Do you still want children?
of course, yes, I
Yes.
do. I have my days. I have my days. I'm just telling you, it's very hard going through your life, especially when you're around people around you, your friends, people. But some of my friends have 2, 3 kids, and they're younger than me. And yeah, I attend baby showers, I send gifts, I do all these things. But at the same time, it's very, very hard being a woman in your late 30s and I'm going into 40,
Mm-hmm.
and not having been able to conceive a child again. At this point, right? Especially after they told me 3 years ago and I've had 2 surgeries, so there's nothing
It
terminally
instantly came.
terms that's wrong with me. I could
Yeah.
I could fully well bear a baby, but I just haven't been able to have it. And that's also the case. Fertility and infertility is also a case. One of the issues with endometriosis, like, women may need assisted help. May need to. I was looking into IVF. I also talked about that in the
What's
book.
what's
But
IVF? For those who don't know, what's IVF?
what is it called? Sorry. in vitro fertilization. So basically,
Okay.
when
The
they
eggs,
take your
frozen
egg and they
eggs.
take the sperm and
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Um, I know you. We all have our journey, as I mentioned earlier, and in our journey, sometimes we have cause and effects. You married young, number one. That didn't work out the way it's supposed to, and your husband was not support. Your ex-husband was not supportive as you would like him to be. At one case, you said you felt bad for your husband because of the journey that you were on and he was not understanding. Is that case now? How are you with your ex-husband? Have you forgiven him? What's going on with him in terms of forgiveness? And how have you moved on from that? Because that journey alone must be very hard.
Hmm. Yes, yes, forgiveness is definitely a journey. I remember all the times where I was in the hospital. Like again, he would drive me to the hospital and just leave me there and then pick me up after. I remember that the times that he actually did try, but I also remember the time where he got weary. And you know what? Nobody, when people get married, people don't sign up to be somebody's caregiver, right? But you know what? Life happens. That's what I talk about. Life is messy, right? So in sense of forgiveness, have I forgiven him? Yes. Have I tried to reach out to him after the surgery and tell him, hey, this is actually what I had. I actually have a diagnosis. I'm this. And you know what? Unfortunately, he wouldn't meet with me to talk with me. Again, I don't know, maybe shame, maybe pride, maybe whatever. But you know what? I think that was my closure a couple years after the divorce, when we were officially divorced. And I tried to reach out to him to share with him that I finally found out what I have. And I actually apologized to him because I said, you know what, you married somebody you didn't know that I wouldn't that I'm sick, that I had this indivisible disease, but plus that I wouldn't have been able to bear your child at that time
You
because I,
apologized
I, I
to
didn't get the
you,
proper. Yeah, I apologized.
but you didn't know either. It's
I
not as if you
apologized because
knew.
I don't know. I just said that this is just that's my release and closure. But the
Mm-hmm.
same, that's why I'm so wary about dating and being in a long-term relationship. And even to tell you the truth, I don't even know if I'm gonna get married again because I'm just so afraid that I'm gonna put somebody else in that predicament, and I don't want to. I would rather know ahead of time if I can have children going into a marriage, and rightfully so, to know that you know what, you're marrying me, but you're marrying only me. Unfortunately, if this is what you want at this time, I cannot provide that for you. And if you want to be with somebody else, go ahead. I'm Dana. I'm 40. I'm at this point, so you know what? I just recently had this revelation of myself, of my coming into myself. Even we talked about sexual intimacy and
Mm-hmm.
just loving on yourself and all these things. Again, like I've come to a point where I feel like I've given everything else to everybody else, and now it's my time. It's my
So
time.
how are you working on yourself? Because Destiny, I read your book and I told you last week and I spoke to you that I haven't read it yet. So in preparing for the show, I decided to go through it and I read it within about an hour and I was just in awe of the journey that you went through. Number one reason because you're constantly smiling.
Mm,
Number two is that you are not ashamed of where you're going, and that is a forgiveness on its own. You're not ashamed. You're not the cause of why you're going through this agony. And number three is that when I hear mention all the time, not only in your book but in person or on social media, that when you tell people that you're in pain, they tend not to believe you, and that's been going on from the get-go before you even knew what you had, right? And as human, I don't know, because I'm such a compassionate person, I
mhm.
can't fathom when somebody is giving you this the doubt that you're lying, because not because I look happy and jovial, that doesn't mean I'm suffering inside, because
Right,
everybody suffers differently, right? So I see you
right,
as this amazing person, and it's
right,
not all sicknesses is going to show on you, you
right,
know
right.
so when I see you, I just see this vibrant woman, and the fact that you're speaking about it, and now you're also an
Mm,
advocate for endometriosis, which is amazing and great.
mm.
Which organization do you work for again?
So I work on different projects with women's health and women's hands as a sexual educator and self-love facilitator. But I'm involved with local endometriosis organizations and events called Endo Events and Peel Endo online on Instagram, where we actually get a chance to meet. I've been able to find support groups and women just like myself and connect with them and actually meet. We used to meet before COVID. We used to meet once a month at in the Mississauga Community Center. And I'm also connected to the Endometriosis Network of Canada, where I've shared my story and openly to hundreds of people during a fundraiser. And also I plan to share my story even more now, like online. As you've seen that, Donna, you've seen me evolve over the year, and also in that confidence. This is this is a taboo issue. Nobody want to talk about.
And that's why I was so happy.
And painful sex and all these things. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Listen, people don't want to talk about enjoyment of sex, much less painful sex.
Right?
So it's like,
well, I'm gonna enjoy mine. I'm turning 40 and I know what it feels like good. So I'm like, I'm gonna enjoy mine. I'm gonna have my best life.
I know you were going through some therapy before all of this, the whole COVID thing, right? And I knew it gave you a little bit of relief. What kind of therapy were you going through?
Right. So I discovered a pelvic floor physiotherapy, and like that requires some deep touching internally, externally. And as a person who already went through the healthcare system, not wanting, like literally when people would touch me, I'd be like, that hurt. I wouldn't even let people touch me. So to build that trust with my pelvic floor physiotherapist, she's a miracle worker. I don't know what she did, but after 6 weeks, I was like, what? It's all good. Everything is fixed up and ready to go, girl. Let's try this thing out again. I was like, what? This is what it is? This is what it's supposed to feel like? So no, I'm saying, I don't know. I'm fixed, man. I'm fixed.
So what you're saying is, so we're still having some issues, or we're fixed for good?
I believe, again, it's something that you have to ongoing do. I'm definitely better than I was within the last 3 to 5 years.
Nice.
So again, to let people touch me.
So I'm gonna go in your business a little bit. How is sex for you? Penetration, is it painful anymore, or we're good?
Yeah. So it can be at times. Depends on the position, right? Okay. But again, I found, and we spoke about this last time, I found like different positions help with different things, right? But also with the pillow. Then I found the pillow.
Yes.
I found the pillow. I'm gonna
raise up the pelvis. Raise up the pelvis.
Position pillow, yeah. And I'm gonna order the pillow, and I looked into some toys and some different things. I also ordered something from you and the little. But like I said, like I honestly think also, especially during COVID, when I didn't have that human interaction connection, that physical intimacy, I took the time to explore myself and to find out what works for me, what works not. I'm telling you. Thank you, Donna.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for enlightening me.
You. This is the thing though, right? Oh my God, you're just such an inspiration. But before we start talking about pleasure stuff, I'm going to go back to your book. How is your mental health? How is, because you, girl, you have gone through so much. How is your mental health?
Yeah. It's funny that you would think that the scars that I have internal scarring, right? You talked about internal scarring. I think the scarring of people not believing me, the scarring from my ex-husband, the church. The people that I confided in, the people I lost, some even family members I've had to let go. I think that caused more damage than the actual physical scarring that I had. And when I'm in the doctor, I would go to the doctor and I said, I would say to the doctor, I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm getting panic attacks. I'm getting chills. I'm getting like things are triggering me. Things are setting me off. I said, can I have something? Can I get some pussy? one thing I could say about my doctor never put me on anxiety pills or any other pills. He just felt, you know what, I would get through it on my own. But you know what? It's not just best to just leave someone and say get through it. I've had to seek out help. I had to seek out counseling. I connected Dr. Nadine Wong, and she's been a great resource to me. Even traveling from Etobicoke to Durham to see her. I've had to get some cognitive behavioral therapy sessions, right? I've had to do that internal work, the meditation, the mindfulness, all those things. Yoga didn't work for me yet, but I'm still open to trying. I don't know. Yoga, this downward dog thing, it makes me kind of heated, makes me want to do something.
That's okay. So that downward dog at the yoga is just releasing and making you relax. So just keep trying. You'll get there. Just
all right. I'm working on it, right? So yes, but I couldn't say, Donna, like literally, I've done the inner work. So when people see, oh, you're glowing, you're shining, my picture, all that is because I've forgiven, I released. And the book, I honestly feel the book was the last straw. Like by writing the book, I got that final release that yes, I could go on. You know, it's like you said before, it's not my fault. I was born with this. It's not my fault that these things. It's not my fault that I had to give up my only child that I didn't know. Like my son. Like I had I was, and they told me. They asked me, "Do you want to know the sex of your child?" And I said no, but they told me. And I'm thinking to myself, look, I gave up my ear, not knowing 30 years later that I wouldn't have been able to conceive. What woman? That alone would send somebody crazy into the madhouse. But you know what? I have hope. And even if I don't conceive like the natural way, or whether I have to do IVF or I have to get a surrogate or I have to adopt, you know what? I will be a mother because there's a mother spirit in me, Dana. Trust me.
You would be an amazing mother. You would definitely be an amazing mother. But what strike me down, and it's the church. I believe that they were like the hardest on you, who were supposed to be there to support you.
Yes.
And they were the hardest, and they're the finger pointers. As much as we don't wanna, we're hoping that they would be that camaraderie for us, that person to help us, to give us strength, even through verses or encouragement. But you never got that. You got it from outside, from persons, from other people. And Destiny, you have walked the walk, and now, sometimes your story is building us up to be at a certain place, right? You know that, right? Because if you don't realize what's going on in your journey and you learn your lessons from that journey, you're not going to know how to fix it or go left versus right. And here is your journey that's taking you here from women's health. And who are they calling right now if a little thing is happening? You, right? So you could be that person that they could point. You can say, you know what? I went here and I went there. So now, because at that point you didn't have anyone to help you, but right? But you have done your homework. So anybody that's in our community can come to you, right?
Yeah. And the sad part of it, Dana? Like all those things and those things that, it actually talk about in psychology where people continue to say, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're not this. It's so sad that all the labels that they put on me, I'm lazy, I'm this, I'm not a good wife, I'm not a good Christian wife, or I'll never be a pastor's wife, I'll never be a good ministry wife, I'll never be in ministry, I'll never be, like all those things they put on me, it's in the sense of, oh, you're a Jezebel, oh, you're sexual pastor. It's like I actually became those things after I left my ex-husband. I was sexual promiscuous. I was sleeping around. I was doing all kind of things that I shouldn't have been, mixing in drugs and people that I shouldn't have been around, in places that I shouldn't have been, saw and done things that I shouldn't have done. I became that. And that's
they programmed you, eh?
So that's such a shame. But God, by His grace, has drawn me back, and then I realized, you don't have to use that thing. You don't have to use sex as a transaction to get what you want. You don't have to manipulate and control. Use sex as a weapon to get what you want. You are just enough. Yes, I'm a sexual being, But yes, I don't have to use that. That I'm so much more than my looks and my beauty and my strength and my sexuality and so much more. I am a woman of that, woman of faith, and I'll stand firm. But yes, I'm going to speak the truth, and I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of me and tell me and tell me what's my truth. So
wow.
I've come to that place.
So for those who are joining iLive Radio, we have Stacy, the author of The Storm Within. Did I say it right? Sorry. The Perfect Storm. And we're talking about her journey of endometriosis. And I'm asking her a bunch of stuff that's in her book. And what endometriosis is, just a painful condition that affects her ovary and her pelvis, and it's the lining in your body, and she may or may not get kids depending on the stage, and she's at stage 4, which is the extreme part of it. I was saying earlier on too that I read someone said in order for it, how it felt having penetrative sex, it felt like somebody was stabbing her with a knife in her vagina. That's how she talked about how painful it is, you know. And now Stacy's on this journey of helping other women, whatever journey, whatever their story looks like, or whatever their pain they're going through. If it's endo, it could be fibroid. She is that person in the community. She talks about it because I see you all over in the summertime at all these events talking about sexual health. You know, so very proud of you on that regard, Stacy. Like totally proud of you of your journey. Um, wow, you know what? I actually kind of got teary eyed after reading your book, because the fact that as a woman that we live in our mind and starting to think we are these things because people start labeling us. Because I read about the part where they're talking about, you know, the Jezebel spirit, and you're promiscuous and you're lying, and so it would feel like it must have had like a heavy chain on you. You feel burdensome, you know.
Yes.
So it weighed you down, and I'm not sure at that point. Obviously, maybe you didn't have anyone to talk to because you held that you held that on. So you start playing the part of the victim, which you really weren't.
Right. Right. So it's sad because, like I said, when I was running, because I ran, Donna.
Yes,
I left everything. I ran. I left the country. I packed up. I sold everything.
You ran.
I ran. Yeah.
I ran. Where did you go to?
Yeah, I went back to my home, to Trinidad and Tobago, to the islands.
Okay.
And you know, I left cold turkey. Like literally, I just got up and I left my family. I left my family, my friends, and when I didn't communicate with them, you know, I was living with an older man.
That's where you got pregnant.
Yeah. No.
Oh, that's another one.
This is after I left my ex-husband.
Okay.
After, yeah, I left. I ran. That's not in the book. But one day I'll talk about that could be a
part 2.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that running, that little, okay, well, you know what? Nobody cares about me, then I don't care about myself type of thing. I'm just gonna live my life, and all the time when people saw me posting in the Caribbean, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, she's doing stuff. I really was working and doing stuff in the, but I was running away. I was running away from the issue. When I got back to Canada, that's when I ended up in the hospital and everything. Like a couple years from then, that's when I realized that, you know what, this is very serious. I'm going to die, right? And I basically had to threaten the nurse and the doctors and say, you know, if you don't operate me, you know, my mother's gonna come for you. You know, she's not gonna this is not gonna go quiet. You know, like I'm like, I don't know who you know my father is, but we're gonna come for you.
So when did you stop running, Stacy? When did you actually face the little girl within? When did you start paying attention to that person looking at you in the mirror? When?
I stopped running 4 years ago. When I re-entered back into the country, I stopped running. I stopped letting myself get into abusive situation, being around men who drawing that spirit of narcissism, that narcissistic spirit, having people control and manipulate me, had people use and abuse me, you know, all that. So now all the trauma that I went through just trying to get away and then getting away and then being abused and being sexually assaulted and being raped at one point, coming back to Canada, right? And it was just too much. And I talk about the book that I resorted to pills and alcohol and different things. So I got saved from that. And I got to a point where, as much as endometriosis has been it's been hard living with it, but actually this my illness saved my life, because if I didn't see that something is wrong here, you need to change the ways, you need to do something, you need to fight for yourself, you need to advocate, you need to speak up for yourself, you need to stop letting people walk over you and take advantage of you, then I would have never have found my voice and to speak with you today and to tell other women that they can speak up too, that they could that they can be free too, that they can find if something's wrong, they can get a second opinion, a third opinion. You know what? I wouldn't tell them to run, but unfortunately in my situation, I had to leave my ex-husband. I had to leave him. I told him, I said, if I stay with you, I'm going to die. And that was the case because he did not believe me.
And when you said that to him, did he not try to stick around? What? Nothing?
No. I left. I made an exit plan. I made an exit plan, and I fled to Hamilton at first, to school, to university, and then the exit plan was to go through the separation divorce there to apply for a divorce. And but for some reason he thought I was gonna come back to him. He thought I was like, oh yeah, she's just going through a phase. When people would call her and be like, oh, how's your wife? She's like, oh, my wife is good. And, I don't down people. Because I know people that have been through that situation where they don't want to disclose when something, as Black people, we put on that church hat, girl. We put on those shoes and we put on that dress and we put on that makeup. We make sure that everything looks shiny and glossy and probably like nothing is wrong in our life, right? We really know how to pose, right?
Wow.
But as Black people, especially as Black women, we need to stop posing.
Yeah, but you know what?
Stop.
We do need to stop, but it comes from people are always saying, this is, again, remember you're talking about how people made you feel and keep dumping these things on you, so you're starting to believe. Remember growing up, it was always whatever happens in the house stays in the house.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it brought up to, so it's a generational thing. So your mother told her, then your mother's telling you, but it had to stop somewhere. So and that's what happened. So we have to change the narrative.
Right, Donna, you're so right. It's generational.
It's a generational thing, and we have to make the choice of when we need to have this conversation.
Yes, we do. That's why we're starting here. I'm so excited. I would love to talk to you again one day.
No, we're good. I want a lot of talking, because honestly, I don't know what happened in the get-go, and I really wanted to read some excerpt to your book too, but I didn't ask you in advance because for you to sit down and relived, because you definitely relived this, your journey, and to put it into a book, and to know you came from a Christian background, and to have these things in this book and talking about the journey and what no support from your church and some family members, you literally did this on your own, Stacy. You did this on your own. And the fact that in the book you also mentioned that you were going to kill yourself. They stepped on your back and left you to the point. Here's this vibrant person, because I've seen you're a carnival Trinidadian dancer girl. So obviously that was you before the struggles that you went through.
Yeah.
And never had it to support. And I'm speaking to you. You wrote a book.
And that's, that's all me. All me. That's all me. the lively, the carnival, the culture, the arts, the festivals, as you've seen, the work that I've done, the community, that's all me. That's all parts of me. And I had to down those parts of me so I can be proper and fit the mold and what the church or ministry or what my ex-husband, that to be that perfect token trophy wife. I tried for the longest time, and that literally almost killed me.
God, that wasn't you. That was not you. No. So I'm going to ask you a question. Is your husband in the church? Is he still a pastor? Is he a pastor?
Girl, I don't know because I don't study that. That's not my business. Listen, girl, I'm an Aries, eh? Once I leave you, I leave you. I don't bother. When I see you walking the street and you'll be like, hey, I'll be like, walk like I don't even know you. I'm an Aries. I'm horrible.
May I look like a labyrinth from the ex? I want to see him. I have a conversation with him and say, my boy, what the hell? It's so funny. Like so many people, men, don't stand up on their own 2 feet. You have your mothers in your ears and your sisters and your friends and and you also mentioned that like he never had his foot planted. It's everything that you gone through, it was outside influence, and that's why I was just hoping. You went to you asked him for forgiveness and said, forgive me. I wouldn't, but you asked for forgiveness from him, which I think should be the other way around. So I'm just curious to know, but find out what I'm under, but I'm going to find them for you and go ask him myself.
Good luck, darling. Good luck. Tell me what to be on that Zoom. What to be
I don't even know the man name, but I'm going to figure it out. So Stacey, with all that's going on with you, would you travel out of country for treatment? I know you said you're feeling a little bit okay now. But if push comes to shove for you to have that final, no pain and back to normal, would you?
Yeah. So, I had the golden standard of surgery, right? The excision surgery. So there's a lot of women fighting for that surgery today, and because they can't get it here in Canada right now, they can't wait. And because of COVID, they've flown out. They've flown to the US or the UK. Because I want to have a child. Sorry, because I want to have a child. I am at a point that once I'm in a good relationship and a partnership, long-term relationship or marriage, if I get married again, and we decide that then if that's the route that me and my partner and my husband want to take, then I will because I do want to become a mother.
So but that must be expensive if you go to the country, no?
Yes, it's very expensive, but at this time, like I said, if you want something, you just have to push. There's many women who have done so. And as you can see, it's something that's trending in the news right now with endometriosis women going out of country, but somehow they're getting the supports. There's one lady that actually started a support fund for women who are seeking that surgery because these are emergencies. Reproductive health, endometriosis is an emergency. Yes, there may not be an emergency as COVID where people are dying, but I'm getting women are silently dying inside. I silently died inside. Yeah. I was dying. So I'm not going to be silent about it anymore. The more I speak about it, the more I feel free. The more I feel like I can help somebody or connect somebody to a proper resources service. People are like, oh, why don't you start your own organization? I said, me? Who? Look, I don't have time for that. Listen, I don't have the time and I don't have the capacity and maybe I don't have the energy. But there are women that are doing. All I know is right now, Donna, I could use my voice. And my voice is powerful. I use the platform that God has given me through Facebook, Instagram, through radio. Thank you, I Live Radio. Right?
All right,
I Live. Use this platform. I'm going to use the platform. I'm going to speak. I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting for an organization number or a charitable number to be able to do the work and to do the advocacy that I feel that I'm called to do right now. This is my mission. This is what I'm about.
This is that was just a powerful statement, what you just said, that, you're healing because you're regurgitating and you're speaking your truth. That is such a powerful statement on its own, Stacey. And we need people like you. You know, we need people to be the voice of so many women that have so much things to say but not saying it because of fear, you know? Because honestly, myself and you don't, we don't fit the mold of the island people. I talk about sex and sexuality. You know, here you are speaking about the journey that you went through, the mental abuse, the physical, the abortions, the rape, the how the church has dealt you wrong, and you're speaking about it. You know, what we have to understand as people is that we have to be that person. We have to be, I'm going to call it what it is, that selfish person. You know, this is us. We have to speak our truth because everybody came on this earth for a reason.
Exactly.
You know, we have to figure out what reason. Your reason no so far is to advocate on women who are feeling pain and to understand what the hell is going on with me. It may change tomorrow, next week, but right at this point, right at this moment, you know, it's me. Here I am. This is my story. Let's figure it out. It has to start somewhere because as I said earlier in the show, I never heard of endometriosis until you spoke about it. I've heard of fibroids because every woman and their auntie and mommy and their sister have it because it's a popular thing. But the crazy thing about it now, Stacy, you know, I'm thinking, do all these women have endometriosis and think it's fibroids? Because you're saying that you have stage 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? 4 stages?
Right.
Because I know women that has fibroid growing outside their ovaries, and they're walking with this really painful stomach, or it's a really high stomach. I have no idea what it is. It could be endo, but they're not checking for endo because that's not important. And I don't think there's a lot of specialists who looks after that. Because look at you, for years you're suffering and have no idea what we were going through.
Right.
You know? Right. So here comes Stacy, walking the talk, walking the walk and talking the talk because you're talking your truth.
Yes.
Yes.
And I would love for women to get that earlier diagnosis.
Yes.
You know what the first thing the doctor said to me? And she's like, you know what? Well, yeah, you have this. Just take a pill. You have endometriosis. Take a pill and go home. And she told me I'll be on this slow pill for the rest of my life, and everything's going to be okay. She never told me what's going to happen. She never told me how I'm going to feel after for recovery. I basically had to go through therapy again. I hired a personal trainer, Coach Gavin. Gavin's correct.
I saw that.
I couldn't walk, Donna. I couldn't walk.
Maybe she didn't even know what it was. Maybe she never
helped me to walk properly and to run again. I couldn't walk.
Wow.
I didn't know it was so detrimental. I also used to dance too. I thought I would never dance again. I thought I would never be able to move. I would never be able to go to the bathroom properly. To like all these things. And you know what? Some women get to that point, they get these surgeries. Some women are at home. Some women are in walkers. Some women are wheelchairs. Some women, it caught some other side, their bowels or the other things that they have to take out their other organs.
So they're walking around with collapsing.
Other organs. Some women I have to walk around with a sack to them. Like, this is ridiculous. And this is the country that we live in Canada. Yes, we have the universal healthcare and the good healthcare they say compared to other countries. But at the time, there's so much more that needs to be done in research and early diagnosis and actually proper treatment that doesn't revolve, just take a pill and fix it. That's not the case with me.
What? No, more than likely, Stacey, she didn't even know what endometriosis is.
And that's what she didn't know.
Because these doctors, especially family doctors, okay, headache, broken foot, a heart palpitation, diabetes, the normal in the textbook. Yes. Anything outside that, go to ER.
Exactly.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
So it has to start at the head, Donna. It has to start from the training. It has to start from the people training the next generation of doctors.
Yeah. So we're going to tighten up. We only have like 4 minutes. Stacy, if anybody wants to get a hold of you or to get your book, what's the best way of reaching out to you?
Okay, if you're in the local the Toronto area, the GTA or Canada, you can contact me directly through Facebook and Instagram. And on Destiny Savory, you can contact me. I could mail you a book with a personal signed copy.
I got
But
one.
if you want to go to Amazon, you can download it on the e-Kindle. Yes, you could download the e-Kindle, or you can get it on Amazon. It's Amazon.com. And just punch in the perfect storm, and my name will come up, Stacey Savory.
All right, Stacey Savory, thank you so much for joining me. And for those that's on here and is going through it, sounds familiar. If you're not going through it, if someone else is going through it and sounds familiar, you know, let them look deeper and figure what the heck is going on, because it can be a very painful experience. Destiny for years walked with this painful experience, and no, I didn't have anyone to talk to. You know, sometimes I wonder, you know, as who are we speaking to, or who are our children speaking to, or the little humans, who are they speaking to? As a parent, if we're not open enough to talk about sexuality or sex or period or whatever growth or whatever spurs that's going on, if you as a parent can't handle it, make sure that you have another person, a sister or a friend or a teacher who can talk to your children about it. But make sure you always have that door open so people can come in, or your children can come in and have that conversation. We need to be the new leaders of our children. We need to be that. We need to represent these little humans and ourselves who are going through anything. Make sure you have someone to talk to. Mental illness is real. Always have someone to speak to. It is very important as humans to have human connection.
Yes.
We do not want to walk on this earth for the rest of our life with our head down and in pain, because it can be fixed, it can be talked about. So we're going to have pain in our stomach and in our head. It is real. We do not want to get up and hear somebody die because of whatever reason. Listen, this is Donna Savage at iLive Radio with Stacey Savory speaking about endometriosis. For those who want to connect with me, find me on Instagram at Savage Desires DS, or find me on Facebook, or visit my website at savagedesires.net. Next Tuesday at 8 o'clock on iLive Radio. I think I have a couple seconds. Stacey, thank you again. Thank you so much. I appreciate your company, and we will do this again. We will definitely do this again.
Thank you, Donna.
You look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. I'm in my kind of galaxy.